Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a slightly different one to one I've done before, but it's one I've been planning to do for a while, so I thought I should just get it done. So it is going to be a video on the most asked questions on Facebook and social media, plant related questions obviously, and I'm just going to give you guys what my advice would be or what the answer to that question is. So obviously in some cases this is just based on my personal experiences, and what I have to say might be slightly different to what other people have to say, but in most cases I think that my answer would be the same as what pretty much everybody would say as well. So yeah, there are quite a few questions that I see asked a lot on all kinds of social media to do with plants, and obviously they're probably being asked by plant beginners, but that is all good because obviously that is how you learn, and that is kind of the point of this video as well, is that, you know, if you're one of those people who is asking a lot of these questions, then yeah, it's just one place where you can get like all of the answers, I suppose. So hopefully this video will be helpful, and yeah, I think we will just get started. Hey guys, sorry, I just wanted to insert a little clip here. Sorry if everything looks different, it's a completely different day. So I was editing this video and I realized it is way too long, like about an hour. So I've decided to just split it into two. So this video will be the part one of the most asked questions about plants on social media, and I will have another video coming soon which will have the rest of the questions that I was originally going to talk about, all of them in this video. Yeah, I just wanted to come in and quickly just let you guys know. So that's what's going to happen. Okay, and just a disclaimer, if you see me looking down, I do have all the questions on a document on my tablet. I'm being a little bit technological today. Normally I just try to remember everything off the top of my head, but I've already written down questions and kind of like my answers just so that I don't forget anything. So yeah, just excuse me if you see me looking down, it's because I'm reading what the question is. So yeah, anyway, let's get started. So the first most asked question on Facebook and social media that is plant related is, why are the leaves on my plant going yellow? So this is a pretty good question because, I mean, it happens a lot, right? So obviously there are quite a few different reasons why your leaves might be going yellow, and I might not cover all of them in this video, but I'm just going to mention the couple main, most likely reasons why you might be having yellowing leaves. Okay, so one of the first reasons why your plant's leaves might be going yellow could just be due to the natural lifespan of the plant. So if you notice that the oldest leaves on your plant are going yellow and falling off, so those that are at the base of the stem or base of the vine or whatever you want to say, the first plant leaves that would have grown in, then it's possible that they're just dying off naturally, because as a plant grows it will eventually just drop older leaves as it requires more energy, and it's just a normal process, so it's not really anything to worry about. So when you might start to worry about yellowing leaves is when you're getting yellow leaves that aren't at the base of the stem, so maybe growth tip or in the middle of the vine, then that could be a cause for worry. Or if you're getting quite a few leaves going yellow over a long period of time, obviously that is when you're going to be wanting to check out what is going on with your plant, because it's probably not a natural process in that case if you're losing multiple leaves or leaves that aren't the oldest leaves. So in that case, the first thing that you should always do is check the roots. If you're not sure, check the roots, because it's very likely that you have root rot, which is very unfortunately, but in most cases it will be due to root rot, or even in some cases you could have stem rot where the stem is quite mushy and black as well. Just want to be careful that your root rot isn't getting to the point where the stem of your plant is root rotting as well, because that's not so great. So if you don't know, just very briefly, I'll probably do another video at some point in time on root rot specifically, but just very briefly to see whether your roots have root rot, you just want to check what color they are. So good signs are if your roots are lovely, nice and white, then they're probably fine. If they are black, if they're mushy, if they smell bad, if you gently pull on them and the root falls off, that is what root rot is. So yeah, check for root rot. If you have really bad root rot, then it might be a good idea to propagate that plant. So cut it up and get some cuttings propagating, just so that you don't lose the entire thing, because yeah, if left untreated, the entire plant could suffer. So you really don't want that to happen, and at least if you propagate it, yeah, you might have to sit again, but you still have that plant. So yeah, definitely check the roots is the first thing I would say. The second thing is, if it's not root rot, then it could be pests. So again, I'll probably have to do another video just dedicated to pests. But yeah, check your plant for pests. If you see any little creepy crawlies on it, any bugs that aren't your common day spiders, don't worry about those. And then you want to isolate and treat it. So yeah, those are the most common causes of your yellow leaves. Of course, there could be other things as well, such as nutrient deficiency. So if it's not pests and it's not a root rot issue, then it could be a lack of nutrients. So if you haven't fertilized for a long time, or the soil that it's in is really old. So another thing you can do is obviously just give your plant some fertilizer and see if that helps out. A lack of nitrogen can cause yellowing leaves. And another thing is, if you do check the roots, in some cases you might find that actually the plant is really root bound, and then that could also be another cause of why your leaves might be going yellow, because your plant might have no nutrients at all because it's got not enough soil for how many roots it has. So in that case, checking your roots, even though you checked them for root rot and it wasn't root rot, you might have found that actually the reason was your plant was root bound. So that's another reason too. But yeah, those are the main causes for your yellowing leaves. There's probably some more things, but they're the most common that you're gonna come across. So yeah, hopefully that kind of gives you some ideas of first steps, but I definitely recommend the first step, if it's not a lifespan thing, is check the roots. That is really important. And if you check your roots and they're fine, then it's probably going to be one of the other things. Okay, another question that I see quite a lot is, why is my plant moving up and down? Is there something wrong with it? So no, there's probably not something wrong with it. You probably have a calathea or a preplant, and that is just what they do. And that is exactly why they are called preplants, because they prey. So yeah, it's just something that they do. And it's all based on the lighting. So typically at night time, their leaves will go up, and then in the daytime leaves will go back down. So don't freak out if you see your plant doing this and you have it's a preplant or a calathea. Yeah, they will do it, and it's totally normal. Cool. And if you want to know why do preplants do that, so the reason that they do that is, so in the daytime they will lower down their leaves, and that is so that they can catch rain, or they can absorb more moisture in the air, because as you might know, preplants are really humidity loving plants, so they love humidity. And then at night time they fold their leaves back up, and that is their way of retaining water. And so that if they were out in the wild, for example, any raindrops that fall on them, it's going to trickle down the plant, and it's going to kind of just stay in there because they're all folded up, so the water will just be caught up in there, rather than if they're nice and open and the water droplets are landing on them, and then it's more likely to evaporate in the sunshine and the light. So yeah, that is why preplants do that, and it's totally normal. So yeah, I have seen a few posts about this, people freaking out, but it's fine. It's actually really cool, and one of the features of preplants that I think is really awesome. Okay, another question that I see quite often, I've actually got an example of this one. Why are the leaves on my plant curled up? So yeah, the most likely answer to this question is it's probably thirsty. So I'll show you one of my preplants. He loves to do this. I always know when it's thirsty because he curls up his leaf. So I'll show you so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is my Calathea Freddy. And if you can see, he's got a few leaves that are kind of curled up. So you can see this leaf, it's not flat. So most of them are curled up, not completely, but pretty much the majority of them are curled in some way. So normally he sits nice and flat. So whenever I see that his leaves are curled up like that, I'm like, cool, it's time for water, and it definitely is. His pot is bone dry. So yeah, if you see that, then that is probably a good indication that it's time to water your plants. So I'll water him after this video, and I guarantee by tomorrow morning all his leaves will be nice and flat. So yeah, That was just a good example that I have because, yeah, he always does that. My Stromanthe, she also does that, so I always know when she's thirsty because her leaves start to curl. So then she's nice and well watered at the moment, but normally her leaves sit kind of more like this, and then I'm like, cool, it's time for a water. So yeah, if you see your plants doing that, then it's probably because they are thirsty. Same thing for like trailing plants like satin pothos, for example. They're a good example because they do this quite a lot. They will curl up their leaves. And if it's not due to underwatering, then another possible cause could be it might be too cold. So there could be a bit of a draft, or they're just in a cool spot. So if it's definitely not underwatering, then that could be another option. But the most common answer is that they're just thirsty. But yeah, if they're definitely not thirsty and they're still doing that, then have a think about the position that that plant is in and where it sits in proximity to drafts and windows and doors and things like that, and that could also be another reason why your plant is doing that. Okay, the next question I don't see like a lot, but I have seen it a few times, and when I was a plant beginner this happened to me and I freaked out. So the question is, but why are there small white dots all over my siskis plant? So the reason that I wanted to mention this is because it's nothing to worry about, but the most typical response when you see that and you don't know what it is, oh my gosh, I have spider mites, which is exactly what happened to me. I thought, oh my gosh, I have spider mites. This plant is sitting right beside all of my rare plants. All my rare plants are going to have spider mites. I'm going to lose my whole collection. I had a big meltdown, did some research, found out actually I didn't need to cry at all. So I thought I would include that in this video, though I don't see this question a lot, not like all the other ones, but I thought it was just worth mentioning, and I have seen it pop up like occasionally, mostly on Instagram though. Yeah. If you have a siskis, in particular siskis discolor, so they sometimes get these like white little tiny kind of clear crystal things on the back of their leaves. It almost looks like sugar, and in fact I believe it is a special type of sugar. I found an article when I was first researching it back when I first saw it on my siskis discolor and was having a heart attack. I can't find it now, but it had a special name, which I can't remember what it is. But basically it's just like the sweet substance that the siskis release and go on their leaves, and I believe it's a way of protecting them from pests. So for example, if a pest were to come along, they're going to eat the sticky sweet things rather than the leaf, so it's kind of like a defense mechanism. But anyway, the point is they are normal. They all do it at some point in time. You don't need to freak out. They're not spider mites. You don't need to treat it. It's all good. You can just leave it be. So if you see them and you have a siskis discolor and you see it on them, then yeah, that's what it is. I haven't heard of this happening on any other plant species other than this, so yeah, if you've seen that on other plant species, then definitely be careful because it could be an actual pest. But for siskis discolor, yeah, don't panic. Okay, another question I see really regularly is, and hopefully again I'll have a picture of what I'm talking about here so you can see. Quite often I'll see pictures of this on social media and people asking what it is and if it's something to worry about. So it has got little like water droplets and at the tips of their leaves. Yeah, it's not something to be worried about. So this is also again a normal process. It is called augitation if you want to do a quick Google, but basically what it is it's the plant getting rid of any excess moisture that it has, so it kind of like absorbs the moisture up from its roots, and then when it's got too much, it kind of just, I mean, I'm doing the very non-scientific terms. There was a whole bunch of stuff. The plant is almost sweating, although it's nothing to do with temperature. So yeah, it's just what it does to get rid of any excess moisture, and it most often happens at nighttime or in the early morning when the air is more humid and when it's a lot cooler as well. But yeah, basically it's a normal process, so don't be worried. It could be a sign that you might be giving your plant a little bit too much water, so just if you are seeing that, keep that in mind. But I do have it occur on my plants now and then, particularly in winter time. I notice it the most, probably because it is the most cool. Yeah, but it's nothing to panic about, so that's all good. Okay, Next, quite often people will ask what this is. So again, there should be a picture right here of what I'm talking about. So leaves with these black kind of marks. So this is sunburn, if you do not know. So yeah, basically just like a human, if you give your plant too much sun, it can get burnt, and that is what it looks like. So the easiest way to tell that it is sunburn and not something else is it's usually in the middle of the plant leaf somewhere, and it doesn't spread. So obviously there are other things that look kind of similar that aren't sunburn. So for example, fungal infections can look similar because they are black, but if you have a fungal infection, normally it will start from the outside and work its way inwards, or it will spread. If it's sunburn, it's not going to spread, it's not going to get any worse, it's like that. It won't get better, but it's not going to get worse, and normally it will just be in the random spots on the leaf because it's sunburn. So it's just going to burn wherever it hits, so it's less likely to start from the outside, and you might just have a spot of black in the middle of your leaf. Yeah, again, it's kind of something once you have seen it a few times on your plants, then you can recognize it a lot easily in the future. And a lot of people say, what can I do to help it? Nothing. It's burnt, it's too late, it's going to stay like that. So you can either just live with it, or you could cut that leaf off, but that's kind of a waste for your plant because it's getting a lot of nutrients and chlorophyll from that leaf. So if it was really bad, then I might cut it off, but if just one leaf, then I'll probably just leave it. No other future leaves will be affected. It's just that one leaf that happened to get burnt, unfortunately. And again, that's another thing with fungal infection. If it is a fungal infection and it's not treated, then new leaves could get a fungal infection. So again, it's spreading, right? Whereas sunburn, it's not going to spread. Unless you go and burn your plant a second time, then it might spread. But yeah. Cool. The next question that I see, not a lot, but sometimes, my Monstera deliciosa not have holes? So firstly, those holes on a Monstera deliciosa, or the split in the leaf, are called fenestrations. And in most cases, your plant will get fenestrations when it is a bit more mature. So if you have a younger Monstera deliciosa, it might just have full leaves that don't have any of the splits or holes. But as you get more leaves and it gets bigger and older, then it will start to develop fenestrations. So some people say it's like around the 6th or 7th leaf that they should start to fenestrate. I think that's a pretty good general rule, but it's not always the case. I think when I did have a Monstera deliciosa, it didn't fenestrate until about the 8th or 9th leaf. So yeah, there is a little bit of variation, but yeah, it's roughly by like the 10th-ish leaf you should be starting to see some fenestration. If you're not at all, there are a few other factors that could be causing your leaves to not fenestrate, like lack of humidity could be one of them. Also, not enough light could be another. So if your plant, your Monstera deliciosa, does have quite a lot of leaves, then yeah, maybe review those two things and see if that helps, because yeah, it should by like the 10th or so leaf have some leaves, although I guess it depends on how big they are as well. So if you're still getting quite small leaves, they're probably not so likely to fenestrate. They normally to be a little bit bigger before they start to do that. Yeah, I do see that asked quite a few times. People are like panicking because theirs doesn't have any, but yeah, as a juvenile form they generally don't, and it's not until they're a little bit bigger, a little bit older and a little bit wiser till they get some. Another question that I see a lot, which is a really important question, is can I pot my plants into a pot without a hole? The short answer is yes, but you probably shouldn't. If you don't know, you really want your pot to have some drainage so that when you're watering it, the excess water can escape out of the pot. Otherwise you risk getting root rot because the water is just going to be sitting at the bottom of the pot if there's too much water, and then your roots are sitting in that water for a long period of time, and then you get root rot. So yeah, it is a good idea to make sure that all of your pots have drainage. I would never plant a pot into a pot without drainage. Some people do, particularly for things that like a lot of water or moisture, but again, I would still just be a little bit wary of that, unless I'm like really careful with my watering and super certain. But yeah, I think it's just easier to have holes in your pot so that you don't have to be so super certain that you're not overwatering. So yeah, I definitely recommend holes in your pots. And kind of related onwards from that question is a lot of people ask if, you know, how you use the pots that don't have the holes then, because quite often you get really nice pots and they don't have holes. Those are called cover pots. So the point is that you're supposed to have your plant in your pot that has drainage, and then you put that pot into the pot that doesn't have any drainage as a cover pot, and then when you're watering your plant, you're taking it out of your cover pot, you're watering your plant, and then you put it back into your cover pot. So I will show you an example. Okay, so my Syngonium confetti is in a pot that has no holes, so you can see it's got no holes. So this pot is a cover pot, and then as you can see, my Syngonium is in another pot. This pot has holes, and then he just goes into the cover pot, so he still has a nice pot, but he has drainage. And I just noticed I got a new leaf coming in, and it's got a cute little pink spot. That's adorable. So yeah, cover pots can be cool because yeah, quite often they look really nice. But yeah, so that is one thing you can do. And another thing that you can do as well is if you have a really nice pot and you don't want to have it as a cover pot, but it doesn't have any drainage, you can potentially drill a hole into the pot. So I do have a video on how to do this on my channel, so I'll pop the little link up here for you guys. So check that out if you would like to see how you do it. It's actually really easy. People think it's super scary. I was terrified the first time, but I've done it a couple times now. It takes like 5 minutes, if that. And then you have a pot that you really like with drainage. Another very common question: what is the difference between Marble Queen and Snow Queen? The answer is they are technically the same plant. So a Snow Queen is a Marble Queen, but the difference is that we just in New Zealand refer to a Marble Queen as a Snow Queen when it has extra really great variegation. So when it's got a lot more white and a lot less green, and quite often much more speckly as well, that is what we call a Snow Queen. And a Marble Queen just doesn't have as much white and can be a lot paler as well sometimes, I find as well. So the thing is that you can have just a regular Marble Queen, and then if it's in really good lighting, you can end up with some leaves that do look like a Snow Queen. So it's like a little bit hard to tell when you're buying cuttings of which you're getting, because yeah, I mean really they're the same. But I would say that a Snow Queen probably just is a Marble Queen with pretty good genetics as well, is probably the main thing. So yeah, I believe that the reason that we call them different things here in New Zealand is probably just because the nurseries and suppliers, I'm just guessing, but I would say they just named them the more variegated Marble Queen, Snow Queen, so that they could charge more for them. Because yeah, if you look at the price difference, Snow Queens are like almost double the price of Marble Queen. Really it's the same plant, but you're just paying basically for much nicer variegation. Okay, another good question is on kind of related to the previous question, was variegation. So if we do a quick old Google of what is variegation, the definition of variegation is a variety of colours. So yeah, basically it's just when you have a plant that has lots of different colours in the leaves. So for example, my Stramanthium right here that you can see, we could say it's variegated because it's got multiple colours. So the most common variegation is white, so having green and white, but you can have green and pink, you can have green and yellow, lots of different colours as well. But yeah, that's pretty much what variegation is. I don't really know too much about the science about it, but a little Google for you guys says that variegation in leaf colour occurs because of a lack of the green pigment chlorophyll in some of the plant cells. And to be aware of as well is that some plants with variegation can revert, which just means that the plant no longer puts out variegated leaves. So if a plant is putting out white and green leaves and then it suddenly just starts putting out full green leaves, and that is reverted. And there's quite a few different reasons why this can happen. It could be not enough light, it could be to do with temperature, it could just be the genetics of the plant. As you learn more about variegation, you'll find that there are some plant species where the variegation is stable, so that means that they're very unlikely to revert, whereas there are other plant species where their variegation is not stable, which means that they revert quite easily. So for example, I find the pink princess philodendron that has got really unstable variegation, it just reverts like no tomorrow. So unless it has like ideal conditions, great genetics to begin with, good light, it can just revert to back to a philodendron. I think in unvariegated philodendron pink princess is a red Congo. Correct me if I'm wrong. The top of my head, I think that's right. So yeah, that's just a little bit, give you a little bit of extra facts about variegation. Hopefully that answers a lot of the questions that you might have, especially if you're new to the plant world, and hopefully it was interesting and you learnt something. So that is, yeah, that's everything. That is that video completed, and as normal, please give this video a like. Giving it a like really helps me out. So yeah, definitely give it a like, and if you haven't already, of course, please subscribe. I definitely welcome that as well. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.